The league always said my trades were on the wild side. Go for the title, head to the sack, or gotta walk the line. Y'all can't wait. You didn't see it coming, you could see the warning signs. The league always knew my trades were on the wild side. I guess the league was right. 'Cause when the clock strikes midnight, I'm gonna ride Breeze Lightning, ditch Jeanty's thunder, till the losses pull me under. Gonna ride the win streak, pray the fantasy gods lift me higher, singing on to the sack, oh I don't go. Singing on to the championship I go. I'm gonna ride Breeze Lightning, ditch Jeanty Thunder, till the losses pull me under. Gonna fly the win streak, pray the fantasy gods lift me higher, singing on to the sack, oh I don't go. Singing on, oh. Welcome into the Showtime Fantasy Football Podcast. Today is Wednesday, October 1st. We are officially in spooky Chimera season here. Alvin Cascara. This is your host, Ty Stewart Langston from sunny Dallas, Texas, 3-1. Welcoming in my co-host from Rogers, Arkansas, also 3-1. Trayton Benz. How we doing, brother?
Doing good. Just got back from another flag football Wednesday, and we, 3 for 3 on mercy rules. We beat our opponent by 21 tonight, so not as easily, but still pretty light work.
Only 21? What happened?
They were solid. Luke Luke got baited, threw a pretty bad pick in cover 2 on an out and up, so didn't score on that possession, but still got the 21-point win.
Get baited. Well, we'll have a lot to get into on today's episode. We're going to have your Week 4 review, Week 5 preview, of course. We'll also do some stock up, stock down, waiver wire, trade review. We're going to redraft the first round as if we were playing out the rest of the season starting today. We're going to do a standings peak and so much more on today's show. It's going to be a fun one. We've had a lot of action, a lot of injuries over the last week that will affect the fantasy season coming up here. It's getting down to crunch time in the fantasy Blind Squirrels League. Let's take a look at what was a fun, pivotal week in the Blind Squirrels Fantasy League, Week 4. Would you take a look at one of our irrelevant matchups from Week 4?
Yes, I will. All right, irrelevant matchup number 1. We've got Jerry and Cannon. This one went about as expected. Kind of a blowout here for Jordan Loves being on top, taking down Gerenazons 137-108. This one, I guess technically was somewhat in doubt on Monday night. Achan needed to drop a 50 burger and could not get it done for Jerry, only 16. Jerry is now drops to 0-4. Cannon is the only 4-0 team, 4-0 squad. Squad being just Cannon. But yeah, looking at this matchup, Patrick Mahomes kind of went off. I feel like a lot of us kind of underrated him for fantasy, but he's having a great season. He's the number 3 quarterback, 35 points against Baltimore, 4 touchdowns. And he really paced Cannon's team here. Emeka Egbuka had kind of a broken 70-yard long touchdown. He had 18 points. Saquon got in the end zone on a fake tush push, 15 points for Saquon. Hunter Henry fell in the end zone. Rome Odunze continues his hot season start with 15 at the flex. And really just no major bagels from Cannon. Didn't have anyone score less than 7 across the board, and that's always what you want to see. Did choose poorly in multiple areas. Golf Buddy on his bench with 15, Javonte with 17, and Etienne with 19. But That's kind of what happens with Can's team. He has a lot of solid depth, so he's going to choose poorly a lot, but still scored 137. Looking at Jerry, I don't know. He can't break that like 110-point mark. He's been around that every single week, and you just can never expect to win with 108. But a lot of the same things have been plaguing his team. Just a massive bagels in his lineup. David Montgomery, a week after scoring 28 fantasy points, comes back against the Browns, scores 1.2. Absolutely brutal. Alvin Kamara, only 9. Chris Godwin, he was forced to play him in his first game back. Kind of embarrassing start there for Jerry, only 4. Yeah, I mean, really just no huge breakouts. Baker was okay, 22. Jefferson, 17. Achane, 16. Worthy, pretty good in his first game back with 14, but just some massive bagels really weighed him down. So, yeah, really not much else to say. He didn't have a ton of choose poorlys or anything. His bench sucks too. So this kind of just feels like Jerry's looking ahead to the Sacco, Can's looking ahead to the playoffs, and about how we expect it to go.
Yeah, I don't. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and this does bring us to our weekly NFL film review presented by Trey. We couldn't really find any impactful plays to review this week that decided any matchups, so we decided we're going to keep rolling with the Tyquan Thornton touchdown film review. So this is the weekly Tyquan Thornton touchdown film review here. So I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to take a look at this one. Pretty much put it out of reach for the Chiefs. I think this put them up like over 20 against the Ravens, but this was early third quarter. I think it was already Mahomes' 4th touchdown pass. So let's go ahead and review this play from both angles. All right, so we've got the Chiefs here on the 11-yard line in an empty formation. Ravens in some kind of 2 shell. Mahomes is going to bring Brashard Smith in motion, just trying to check out the coverage, see what the Ravens are in. He sets him up in the backfield, and Tyquan Thornton is right here in the slot. So let's take a look at the snap. At the snap, looks like he has Brashard Smith in the flat, Kelsey on a corner.
At the snap,
and you've got like almost like a double in here with Juju and Worthy, and Tyquan from the slot just carrying the vertical and splitting the safeties. And this seems to be just basic cover 2 coverage. Mahomes, you can already see he's locked and loaded. As soon as Thornton clears this linebacker and cuts inside the safety, he's just going to fire it into him. And so you can see he's already throwing it. Tyquan clears the linebacker, looks in, pretty easy cover 2 red zone play for Thornton. He's got 3 touchdowns 3 weeks in a row, and that was big for Cannon. So
his only catch of the week, actually.
Oh, that's crazy. Maybe he's just a red zone guy. Who knows?
Maybe. Yeah, this one, I mean, Jerry just seems outclassed here by Cannon. It was a tough matchup, 3-0 versus 0-3. Heading in opposite directions. Last year, Jerry also started 0-4, and that's how the Renaissance was born. What do you think? Is there another Renaissance coming, or should he just start scouting Sacco matchups?
Yeah, I'm not seeing a Renaissance this year. Not really sure what the inverse of a Renaissance is, but we need to find some kind of term for that.
And then, yeah, Cannon, 4-0, undefeated. He's definitely riding a high in the group chat, talking shit. Do you think he's a legit 4-0? Like, do you see his team as like a dominant, undefeated, unbeatable squad?
His points against are pretty suspect. I want to say his points against are lowest in the league. So you could say it's a little Mickey Mouse, but he just has so much quality depth. Every week he has like 3 or 4 guys on his bench that he could have started. So hard to say he won't pretty easily walk into the playoffs, but we'll see what happens at that point.
Yeah, Jerry falls to 0-4. Cannon goes to 4-0. Our next irrelevant matchup, we've got Jesus 159, the Bear Jew 140. Max with his second win in a row and second highest scoring performance in a row in week 3. Jesus put up 160. This week he puts up 159. So averaging 160 over the last 2 weeks, pretty big for him. He's got the Stafford Puka stack rolling for him right now. That's been huge. And other things for Max that are working out. We've got Amari and Hampton, rookie breakout. Ever since Najee went down with the Achilles, he's been pretty good. 25 fantasy points at the Giants, involved in the passing game, and went over 100 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Garrett Wilson kind of shut the door with a nasty Moss touchdown on Monday Night Football. Looked like Sutton might be sneaking Will back into this one, but Garrett Wilson ended it for Max. For Will, this was kind of an unfortunate one because Lamar was already having a bad game. You thought maybe he could get some garbage time because they were starting to fall behind Kansas City, but then he gets yanked from the game, and now he's got a hamstring injury. So, one, who knows how many more points he could have scored in this game for this week. Probably not to make up the 19-point deficit that we'll end up losing by, but maybe at least enough to make it interesting. And also now Lamar's got a nagging hamstring, and for a rushing quarterback, that is not what you want moving forward. Jahmyr Gibbs was good. You'd like to see a little bit more, but against the Browns, 16.7, you'll take that every day. And then this was kind of the return of the receiver position for Will. He invested heavily in wide receiver in the draft, going London, Mike Evans, Sutton, Pickens. We kind of thought he was going to have this foursome of good receivers. A lot of them have started out disappointing, but this week was the first really good week from Jake London. We saw over 100 yards and a touchdown from him, 21 fantasy points. And then for Pickens, this was his first game without Lamb, right? Like full game.
Right.
And he got 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, 29 fantasy points, absolute explosion from Pickens on Sunday night. But I mean, yeah, 140, like 140 is not a bad number for Will to put up. He just couldn't match Max with the 159. Puka was too much. Harrison and Wilson caught touchdowns. And Stafford, I mean, you're not going to see too many 33-point games from Stafford. So it was just a good week overall for Max. 2 wins in a row here. Tough one for Will. He had just pulled from 0-2 to 1-2, and 2-2 just sounds so much better than 1-3. But he falls to 1-3 here, and the Oracle is things are looking up for the Oracle.
Yeah, impressive win for Max. Yeah, you mentioned Garrett Wilson, and that brings us to our Glaze of the Week presented by Shipley Donuts. Go to your local Shipley's and pick up some donut holes. We're going to look at that touchdown from Garrett Wilson that officially put it out of reach for Will for our Glaze of the Week. I was looking forward to using another Jonathan Taylor run for the Glaze of the Week, but it got called back via holding by Adonai Mitchell. So we're going to look at this Garrett Wilson play. That was the defense on this play was maligned by Will and Luke in the group text for the Dolphins playing single coverage, which is probably a fair point because the Jets don't have anyone else that scares the defense. So we're going to look at this play. It's a touchdown to Garrett Wilson. Not quite garbage time, but it was in the final, 4 or 5 minutes of the game. They were down 13, so definitely chasing points. You can see the Dolphins were in some kind of all-out blitz. Just everybody up here at the line. We've got a 3-by-1 set. So Garrett Wilson, you can already tell off the snap. It's just ISO ball up here, one-on-one. Safeties in the middle of the field. Probably just cover 0. At the snap, cover 0. You can see everyone's coming. They keep the tight end in to block. The running back, Breece Hall, I think, he's going to be in and block. And so you've got, 7-on-7 to block. And then you've got 2 guys out on a route down here against 3 defenders. And so you have one-on-one with Garrett Wilson. And Justin Fields drops back. And it's a bit of a in and up, kind of a weird route. Not really sure what that was. But anyways, he eventually just gets vertical. Fields has already fired the ball at the back of the end zone. And Garrett Wilson just goes up over him and just snatches it. We'll take a look from the other angle. I don't really know if this angle will show us much, but
what's wild is they actually end up dropping 2 of these guys up at the line of scrimmage, and those 2 plus the safety pretty much end up standing in the middle of the field guarding absolutely nobody.
I thought they just did a 0 blitz.
Watch. I think it might be 20 and 25 that drop out, but 1, 2, and then 2 of
a D tackle. 2 of the D tackles just dropped.
If those guys rush, maybe Fields doesn't have time to get it off, but they just backed up into nothing because everyone else was in the pass block.
Yeah, kind of a dumb call by the Dolphins D and leaving Garrett Wilson 1-on-1. But at the end of the day, this is really good coverage. Yeah, and Garrett Wilson just snatches it and gets his feet in bounds. So I guess you have to sometimes just give credit to the player. So that's our glaze of the week.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson, really good surprise here early on in the season for Max. He's the wide receiver 6, and I think he took him in late round 5. I had that shouted out as good value in our draft recap episode, and it's proving to be that case for the Oracle here early on in 2025. So next matchup.
Next matchup to review, we've got Cole Walker tanking down Luke Rapert, 156 to 121 for the matchup king over Circle the Wagons. Pretty great week here from Cole, somewhat surprisingly. He's kind of been down in the dumps the last couple of weeks, but goes to 2-2 here. Luke falls to 1-3. And for Cole, it was really just he got some solid 20 burgers across the board. Jalen Hurts, 23. Bijan Robinson, 26. And another 100-yard receiving game for Bijan Robinson. He's just a monster through the air at running back. Just looking like worth the number 2 pick that Cole took him with. DK Metcalf got him off to a great start in that Ireland game. He had an 80-yard touchdown, finished with 21, and this was a bit of a revenge spot as Luke is the one who drafted DK and then traded him to Cole, so it feels bad. Lions defense got 20 as Joe Flacco just continues to be a turnover machine. Kind of funny looking at this, the defensive difference in this game was 25 as Luke's Packers DST ended up.
And that brings us to our dumbass play of the week.
Dumbass play of the week. Packers DST -5 as I don't really know what he was thinking playing Micah Parsons against Dak Prescott. You just don't really want that matchup anytime. And also for Cole, RJ Harvey had his kind of breakout game. So, obviously, and then Khalil Shakir had a really nice long touchdown play. He ended with 15 points. So really just solid across the board for Cole. And he even left Romeo Doubs with 26 on his bench. But kind of a bittersweet win for Cole as Malik Neighbors did tear his ACL pretty early in that game. Only 3 points, and he just traded for him. So Cole did get the win here, but it was not without its losses. And then so we'll see what that looks like for Cole moving forward. For Luke, he was kind of bitching because he thought Cole was a bye week and just clearly wasn't. But not a bad week for Luke, 121. He can't.
That's not like the level though where you can complain about not.
No, but not. He just can't really get quarterback production. I feel like he traded for Herbert, and since he traded for Herbert, he's gone 16-14. So he just can't find that 20 burger at quarterback. The running backs were great. CMC, Judkins, and then Sun God. Like he had about 20 or more from all 3 of them. But Packers going -5 really hurt him. Keenan kind of a bum for the first time. Bowers kind of continues to be a bum. Just 3 straight weeks for Bowers, 6, 7, 7. That's not really what you traded up for from Bowers. And then Chuba Hubbard, kind of a weird situation where he's starting to split carries more with.
Apparently he's banged up.
and he's kind of hurt. So he's been kind of a bummy flex play, but really just the quarterback and the negative defense is what mostly hurt Luke here. He did have Bo Nix on his bench get 29, so he did choose poorly, but and Debo also had 17 on his bench, so he could have definitely got more points, but it really wouldn't have mattered. Cole's team just was too good in this one, so Luke falls to 1-3. Was there anything else you had on this matchup?
Honestly, just that Judkins is kind of saving Luke's roster right now. So he should send Josh a gift basket, because without Judkins, it would just be like McCaffrey, Sun God, and the boys. And Judkins kind of adds that.
Devontae's been consistent.
Yeah, no, that's true. Devontae's been good. But yeah, Luke's, I'd want to look at Luke's. I feel like he's been pretty consistent, like kind of in that 120 to 130 range. Nope, he has not been consistent. He just sucks outside of
115, 2 straight weeks, 115, 121.
Yeah, his points for, or his points against, have to be pretty high. 554. I think that's second highest in the league to Jerry. And Jerry's points against almost don't matter because his points, like, he's never going to win. So it's almost just like beating up on your little brother. Like, once you get ahead, you just kind of want to keep beating on him. So out of all the legit teams in the league, Luke has the highest points against. So kind of it feels bad, but also we kind of saw that coming this year. He won the title last year. He got all of his fantasy luck out of the way, and he gloated about it. He made props, he made music, and I don't know, he's got a kid now. He just had a kid, so he's distracted, he's tired, he's not getting any sleep, he's just not focused right now. He's kind of resting on the laurels of 2024. So we kind of saw a down season for Circle the Wagons coming. Not surprising at all. All right, our Showtime matchups of week 4. Let's look at how the BOGO Caniacs got this one done. This is your Mickey Mouse win of the week. This is a Mickey Mouse win if we've ever seen one. 103 to 82. The 9th highest scoring week of the league beats the 10th highest scoring here. Josh just lays an absolute egg. 82 in a 2-flex half PPR league. Just horrible production here from Belford. 0 touchdowns from his skill players. Only 1 from Daniel Jones, his quarterback. Jaden Daniels just he got the win in week 3 without him. Still annoyed I lost to Josh's shitty team last week, but we kind of saw all of that fall back to earth this week. Trey McBride doesn't score touchdowns. He didn't this week. 7 for 52 on that Thursday night Cardinals game. Holy shit. Josh's receivers were so bad in this game. 2 for 7, 1 for 11. A.J. Brown 1.7, Lad McConkey 1.6. He got the instant dividends last week, and now those guys are kind of showing why Cole was ditching them off his roster to begin with. Now, obviously, with the injury, you'd still rather have those two than Neighbors, but you can't feel great about starting either one of them moving forward. The floor is just so low right now. Speaking of floor, Derrick Henry is RB19 after a 28-point explosion in week 1 against the Bills. He's been bad since then. He hasn't even combined for that. He's gone 2, 10, and 6. The carry numbers are down. The snaps are down. Justice Hill was in the game. The game script's bad. The Baltimore defense is in rough shape. They got like half their starting D on the IR. Lamar's out, so who knows what the offense is going to look like over the next couple weeks. Henry, I mean, after week 1, we were kind of just like, oh, same old. Henry's a superstar. I don't know anymore. I feel like Henry is kind of falling into a bit of a RB2 range that you're not as excited about. Ken Walker, Charbonnet came back on Thursday, and I believe Charbonnet fell into the end zone, which cost Ken Walker here. He still got 19 carries, which is good to see, but only 81 rushing yards, 1 catch, just kind of a trap back at this point if Charbonnet is going to be the 2-minute and touchdown guy. Zay Flowers, 7 for 74, kind of a ho-hum performance from him. You'd actually like to see more with a game script that pass happy. And then Chase Brown, yeah, this was kind of a first time GIF for you trading Chase Brown to that disgusting Browning-led offense. They scored 3 points on Monday night, getting blown out by the Broncos 28-3. I don't even know how he got to 8.6. He probably just got some, like garbage time, 3 for 31 catches. But I don't know. I mean, we'll get to your team with the DJ Moore side of it, but yeah, this is why you traded Chase Brown. He's just kind of a flex at this point. And then there weren't really any choose poorlies for Josh. The rest of his team is ass. Why was he rostering like Trey Tucker and Caleb Johnson? He really needs Daniels back for some juice in the starting lineup. Daniel Jones coming back to earth. Everyone saw that coming in this matchup at Rams. That was a horrible start. For you didn't really earn this one. Like we said, this is definitely the Mickey Mouse win of the week, but you'll take it any way you can get it. The guys that did help you come through, let's give some credit to Jake Ferguson, the number 2 tight end in fantasy off of waivers, the $30 man. Did you pick him up in between week 1 and week 2 or week 2 and week 3? 2
and 3.
Okay, yeah, the last 2 weeks since you've picked him up, he's got 20 receptions in 2 games, 14.7 and 13.5 fantasy points. Really good to see consistent volume is high. I think that's, obviously a little bit of a result of Lamb being out, but also, dear Lord, Andrew just offered me the worst trade in the history of trades. That's a smash decline there. Sorry. Yeah, Ferguson's been really good for you since the trade. And then you also had Jesus. Okay. You had Jonathan Taylor. He's still the number 2 running back in fantasy, only 12 points in this one. Kind of got vultured by Tyler Warren. And the Rams are a good defense. So, again, your team didn't really do anything. It was more just Josh's team being worse. Like, I mean, you only had 1 skill player touchdown, and that was from Ferguson. But you did have, Scadaboo 12, you'll take that. 100 yards from Dobbins, you'll take that. The Patriots D actually had a punt return touchdown, which was kind of nice for you. They only ended up with 10. How did they only end up with 10? I guess they only had 1 sack, and I don't think they had a ton of turnovers. But Caleb Williams, yeah, kind of saw what happens when he's not playing Dallas. Fell back to earth this week, 13 fantasy points against the Raiders. Now he's on bye. Pretty sure you're dropping him. Nick Chubb, you started the Texans backup running back. I know you were tilting watching Woody Marks just go bananas for like 20-plus fantasy points. Chubb is washed. That offensive line is horrible. And then Jamar Chase, just not what you're looking for from the 101, 5 for 23. And then Tyreek Hill was actually off to a pretty solid start in that game, 6 for 67 before he completely destroyed his knee. Was that in the third quarter?
First possession of the third quarter.
Yeah, so really early in the game. He was on his way to like 100 yards, looked pretty good in that game. So feels bad for you. Looking at the bench, no true choose poorlies. Goff was better than Williams, but you were never really considering Goff for this week against the Browns, and then everyone else was horrible. Actually, Matthew Golden, 8.8. It's maybe a little bit promising, but that's also in a 40-40 game shootout. So, I mean, not a ton of takeaways here. For you, you'll take the Mickey Mouse win. I'm not sure you'd want to trade Tyreek's knee for a win. That's actually a good question. Would you, if you could take away the win but get Tyreek's knee back, would you do it?
For sure, yes. But especially with my team's lack of depth, I really needed Tyreek. It was definitely bittersweet, especially considering going into Monday, I already had the win wrapped up. It's one of those where, when you go into Monday night and you already have the win wrapped up, and you're just like, okay, just don't get hurt. And then you see your guy snap his leg in half, and you're like, gosh darn it. So yeah, tough scenes as far as the injury, but this felt like the fantasy gods kind of rewarding me for my injury, bad luck, facing Josh, 82 points. I just kept waiting for Ladd McConkey to catch another pass or AJ Brown to do anything, and they just never did. So yeah, Josh kind of sucks. I'm good. So whatever, 103.82. And we're going to go to our last Showtime matchup of the week, presented
by Ozarka.
By Ozarka Water and Nukes Deli. We're going to look at you versus Andrew. White shirt took this one down 170 to 124 for Suck My Ditka. You go to 3-1. Andrew falls to 2-2. This was a bit of an explosion from your team. Ashed him, Jeanty.
Woo!
32.5 fantasy points, exactly what you wanted from him. The breakout game it finally happened. He had 2 touchdown catches, a rushing touchdown, a long rushing touchdown at that, 138 yards. He looked like a monster, worth the number 6 overall pick in the NFL draft. He was an absolute beast, taking advantage of the Bears matchup. And then you obviously had 3 monster running backs. Josh Jacobs, 29 points on Sunday night against the Cowboys, 2 touchdowns, also 71 receiving yards. James Cook, 21, taking advantage of the Saints matchup. So those 3 running backs combined for, like over 80 for you, which is just amazing. Drake May tacked on 27, 3 touchdowns against the garbage Panthers. Tyler Warren rushed in a touchdown, his first career score, 16 points. Quentin Johnston, 20 burger. He's looking legit, and we're kind of all eating crow, and we made fun of you for that trade. So really, you just had monsters all over the place. You scored 170, and your DST and kicker only combined for 10, so you didn't even need DST and kicker in this one. In fact, you lost DST kicker 25-10. It didn't even matter. Pretty much just you flexing your muscles here, having an explosion, one of those fun weeks where just touchdown, big play, touchdown. And you even chose poorly at quarterback because Dak had 37 on your bench, but just didn't matter at all. 170. I think that's the highest score of the year by anybody. So you're feeling great about this one. For Andrew, 124, kind of like you said earlier, that's in that range where you can't really expect a win, but it's kind of in the middle usually. But Josh Allen and Bucky Irving, they tried their best. Josh Allen, 28. That's kind of a normal week for Josh Allen. Bucky Irving had a crazy 70-yard receiving touchdown and scored 23. Looked pretty good. Did end up getting hurt, so we'll see what that looks like for Andrew moving forward. But had a great game in this one against the Eagles. And then as I mentioned, DST and kicker combined for 25. Other than that, not a whole lot for Andrew. Addison did have that one 80-yard play that you were so butthurt about in Ireland. I don't really know how he didn't score. He got caught by a linebacker, so that was embarrassing. But 13 for Addison, his first game back. Kind of a fluke, though, on that big play. Trevion did fall in the end zone for the first time, 11 points at flex, and then just really got a bunch of duds other than that. Devontae Smith, 4. Juwan Johnson, 4. Jacoby Myers, 5. Pollard, I feel like Pollard scores 9 points every week. And I guess he technically had to choose poorly with Woody Marks. I don't know if he was ever really considering Woody Marks, but Woody Marks did score 26 on his bench. So that feels bad. Wouldn't have mattered because he scored 170. But for Andrew, it's kind of like, he had a couple good performances, a lot of duds, and then your team went off. So not much he can do. How did it feel to just watch your team just pummel Andrew into a pulp?
Pretty good. I'm not going to lie. It always feels good to just toss out a 170 burger. I outclassed Andrew in this one. I do feel kind of bad for him just because without Lamb and Kittle, he's not at full strength, and it just doesn't feel right, just destroying him by 50. But it was definitely a lot of fun. Like you said, just getting a ton of touchdowns all over the place. I think I had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 touchdowns from my team this week. Lots of taunts heading to Andrew through the app. Just a fun week overall. And definitely a fun way to go to 3-1. So, all right, that is your Week 4 recap. We'll close the book on week 4. Coming out of week 4, we're going to do some stock up, stock down, presented by the SP 500. Trey, who are you feeling better about coming out of week 4? Who are you stock up on?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Max again. I feel like I used him last week, but I just can't deny the growth in stock for not Jesus here. Honestly, I don't mind him pairing Stafford with Puka just to have upside of a stack. And, he also has Justin Fields, who had a good game. So I feel like he can actually pair Stafford and Fields and have a good quarterback. Hampton looks like a monster. Even Marvin Harrison maybe found something on Thursday. So just overall, I feel like Max, 2 straight great weeks in a row. After he fell to 0-2, he was making jokes in the group text that he's washed and going to be the Sacco. And now he's like leading the league in points or second or something. So, I got to go with Max. He's looking like he could make a playoff push potentially. Puka Nacua is just such an advantage. Puka Nacua is dominating fair fantasy right now.
Yeah, Puka's off to a great start. We'll talk about him later when we redraft the first round. For me, I'm actually going to go with Cole. Not just because he scored 156, and I know it's kind of weird to say stock up when one of his best players just tore their ACLs, but I think there are some underlying bright spots to focus on here for Cole. Number 1 would be RJ Harvey, kind of a throw in that 3-way trade, but RJ Harvey, rookie running back for the Broncos, 17 fantasy points, kind of a breakout for him. He had a receiving touchdown and easily the most work he's had so far, 18 total 19 opportunities, 18 touches, 98 total yards and a touchdown. We know Dobbins is injury prone, so we could see Harvey get a bigger and bigger role as the season goes on and maybe potentially break out and become like an RB2 option for Cole. DK Metcalf, also a part of that trade. We saw him just go off in London, 126-1. I know a lot of that was on one play, but I think we're starting to see Aaron Rodgers lean more and more on DK Metcalf. 3 straight weeks with a touchdown. He seems to like him in the red zone. He's got that deep ball speed. He's got the yak ability. So I think Metcalf is a positive development. RJ Harvey is a positive development. And then Bijan obviously just further cementing himself as an absolute stud, 26 fantasy points in this one. So I'm gonna take a little stock up in Cole here. I think he's got a shot to at least avoid the Sacco.
Yeah.
All right. Who is your stock down?
I'm gonna go with Josh. Pretty hard not to be featured in the stock down segment when you score 82 points, but kind of like you were alluding to earlier, Derrick Henry just doesn't seem like the first round pick he needs to be for Josh. Ken Walker, you mentioned Charbonnet came back. That's just a 50-50 split. A.J. Brown and Lad McConkey, they just seem to be, bummy wide receiver 3s at this point, just based on their roles in their offenses. Chase Brown, that was an embarrassing trade for. So just not a lot to love from Josh's team. He traded for T. Higgins too, and since he traded for T. Higgins, he scored 2 and 4 points. So pretty embarrassing overall from Josh, from his roster, and I just don't see a lot to love here moving forward.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm actually going to go with you. I know you won, but 103, just kind of a complete Mickey Mouse win against anyone else you would have lost. Jamar Chase, this was kind of a week we needed to see that Jamar Chase can survive without Burrow, and he didn't. Obviously, you lost your wide receiver 2 to Tyreek to a dislocated knee. I felt like you were pretty reliant on him. After your mega stack broke down, and Hunter and Ridley have been complete busts, no shows for your fantasy team. You just lit the 6-7 turn on fire there. Caleb Williams, maybe you thought he was going to be a breakout top 5-ish quarterback, after that Dallas performance, but clearly that's not the case. 13 fantasy points against the Raiders, who suck. So his floor is lower than you would have liked. Scattaboo, just, I don't know. He just kind of kept getting stuffed in the goal line. I know you're probably pretty butthurt about that. He got so many opportunities, and he just didn't really, I don't know. He didn't look great to me. Like 25 carries for 79 yards is pretty bad, honestly. Nick Chubb was a joke. I don't even know why you started him. And then JT, basically what this week revealed is that if JT isn't going for 30, your team is kind of trash. And then, I just talked about RJ Harvey as a case for a stock up for Cole. That in turn would mean Dobbins is maybe, I know he had 100 yards. He looked great in this game. Like there is nothing that Dobbins is doing that is making him a worse fantasy player. It's just RJ Harvey's elevating himself. Sean Payton's going to continue to give him more and more opportunities as the season goes along. Dobbins, good player. I don't know about the role, and obviously, again, he gets always ripe to get hurt. And then, your bench and Butte, DJ Moore is a joke. Just like, there's just not a lot to be excited about here with the BOGO Caniacs other than the 3-1 record. So, stock down for you. All right, now it is time to review the waiver
wire.
This was probably the highest winning bid we've had so far this year in this week's waiver wire. Stephon Diggs goes for $107 a fab to yours truly, white shirt over the BOGO Caniacs 89. Yeah, I got Stephon Diggs here. Josh dropped him last week for Trey Tucker. And there were some other bids here. Jerry 11, Josh tried to get him back for 7, Will 0. But you and me were really the only major players here. You bidding literally the entire remaining budget that you had of Fab 89. And then I ended up getting them for 107 of my, I think I had like 170 or something like that left. So I went pretty all in here, over 50% of my fab. Stephon Diggs, obviously we know what he's been previously in his career, and he was off to a good start even last year at the Texans before he tore his ACL. He's slowly worked his way back. This last week he had 7 targets, 6 catches, 100 yards. Kind of seems like he's locked down that slot role for the Patriots. Drake May was finding him all over the place, and he just looked good. Season high in snaps, season high in target share. So I don't know. I just think he's too good of a player to be on waivers. So that's why I went all in here. I know you were pretty butthurt waking up this morning to see you didn't get him. Losing Tyreek, you were kind of desperate for wide receivers. So you just talk about your feelings on this one.
Yeah, you and me kind of stick out as the sharps of the league here, kind of going all in on a player that should be rostered. And with the bye weeks and injuries happening throughout the league and some of the shitty teams, I just feel like it's unacceptable from a lot of these bums to not bid more on a player like Diggs, where, like you mentioned, this was his really first good game, but there was just a lot of underlying signs with his, like Drake May only threw like 22, 23 passes, and he had 7 targets, played in more 2 wide receiver sets and in the slot, and looked good doing it. So there's a lot of evidence to point to him being a consistent option rest of season. And if you can get that in week 5 for the rest of the year, I feel like that's a shot you have to take on waivers when the rest of waivers is just a bunch of bums that you could drop next week. So kudos to you for kind of recognizing that, going all in, even though you didn't necessarily need him. Now you ended up needing him because Trey Benson got placed on IR, at least for this week. And you're also stacking him with Drake May, which I really like that. Just in the event he could catch a touchdown. So smart by you. Yeah, I was pretty butthurt this morning. I kind of hoped I would wake up and see Stephon Diggs on my team. Just like you said, with Tyreek Hill getting hurt, I was pretty desperate for anything I could plug in. So you kind of beat me on this one, but that's why we have Fab. That's why we do this. It makes it fun. Every week you kind of don't really know what's going to happen. It's a mixed bag, but kind of feels like the rest of our league thinks that you can just I don't know, maybe turn Fab into real money at the end of the year or something. I'm not really sure why they're saving it all for later. Like, I'm not really sure who they think is coming on the waiver wire later, but
I will say we have no one, almost surprisingly, we have no one with all 200 left. I feel like usually at this point in the season, there's been like someone not paying attention at all, not active at all, and still has like everything left. We've got no one even with a 190 or above. We have a lot of like 150s, 160s. Will seems to have the highest remaining budget with 180, but yeah, I mean, people are at least showing that they're opening the app.
I feel like we've gotten more money spent on like defenses than actual.
Yes,
players.
that's been a trend this year. I feel like the top waiver streaming defense usually in our league historically, I feel like we'll go for like maybe like $5 or $6, but now you have to drop double digits on these defenses. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't really agree with it. I feel like defensive scoring is so fluky that I usually put in like 5 or 6 $0 claims, and I just want to get one of them. I don't really care that much.
I will say the Lions defense was the most bid on defense from last week's waivers, and they ended up going off for like 20 fantasy points last week for Cole. So that I would say that's well worth it. $11 a fab for a 20 burger. You'll pay that all day.
Yeah, but that included a punt return. Like, you're not going to.
I will say the previous one, Luke went $31 a fab for the Packers D, and we just saw how that ended up for him.
Right, and that, like, you can't predict a punt return, so I'm not really gonna give Cole credit for that.
Was it? Oh, it was a punt return.
Didn't not Craig Reynolds? Who's their slot receiver? Didn't Khalif Raymond have a punt return? Didn't Raymond have a punt return touchdown?
I honestly have no idea. I'm just trying to think. I don't remember them having like a defensive score, so maybe it was a punt return. I know Aiden Hutchinson was in the back. Like, he got like a couple strip sacks, I think. All right, yeah, I stacked Diggs with May. Good ad there by me. Kendre Miller, Saints running back, was the second highest winning bid, $21 a fab to Josh. Second highest unsuccessful bid was $11 for Cole, and then you embarrassingly tried to sneak him for $0. Kendre Miller, kind of fantasy bum early in his career and even early this season, but last week, 12.5 fantasy points, 65 rushing yards. He's looked good. I don't know. Kamara's old. The Saints offense, you wonder how much fantasy value there is there at all. You'd almost, I don't know. Kamara would have to get hurt for Miller to be like startable. So what is the appeal here?
I think it's maybe as the season goes on, the Saints what if they trade Kamara? Because that's been a rumor. And then you could maybe throw Kendre into the flex.
Yeah. I guess, but that's kind of like even more like that's why I go in on real players like Diggs.
Yeah.
And then again, here we go. Third highest winning bid of the week was the Browns defense to Cannon. The Browns are in London playing against Carson Wentz, who just got mauled by the Steelers D. That's, again, I meant to bring this up when we were reviewing our matchup. It's kind of crazy, like the emotional roller coaster you go on during a fantasy matchup with like Thursday night, and then you have another chance in London, even before Red Zone starts. Like, Red Zone's a whole thing of itself, but like for me, I had Trey Benson, who really let me down on Thursday, and then I dropped the Steelers D, and that looked like a terrible decision for most of the game. And Warren was a surprise inactive, so there, and then I pick up Gainwell to block him, and I drop him, and then Gainwell goes for 30. So it's like all before even Red Zone begins, I'm like on this emotional roller coaster. So just crazy how fantasy works. There were a lot of people were in on the Browns D, but Cannon ends up getting them with $14.
Yeah, you tried to sneak them for 6. That was pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, Josh also with a 6. You tried to sneak them for 0, so I don't know why you're making fun of me.
I already said I just put 0 on a bunch of defenses. So
yeah, I guess you thought you wouldn't really have any fab left after you got Diggs, but how'd that work out? Bear Jew gets the Eagles D for 11, and they are hosting the Broncos. I mean, the Eagles D is good. I don't love that matchup just as a streaming option, and I think the Texans actually are playing Cooper Rush. So I don't know. I would not really bid $11 to get rid of the defense playing Cooper Rush to pick up the defense playing Bo Nix. That doesn't really make a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, honestly, I might put in a claim for the Texans. I didn't really think about that. So
I mean, I know they're on the road and they still have Derrick Henry, but it's just like, I don't know. It's not as much big of a difference to me without Lamar.
All right, would you go Texans D at Baltimore or Saints D against Jackson Dart at home?
Actually kind of like what I saw from Dart. The Saints have been weird. I feel like they've been a plucky defense so far this year, like better than we thought, keeping them in games. And I just don't know if Dart's going to make the big mistakes like pick six and strips. Like, I don't know if he's going to do that. We'll see. He did take a decent amount of sacks, I think, against the Chargers because he was trying to run around and make plays. So they could take some sacks. I don't know if the Saints have a pass rush. Kenneth Gainwell, not really sure why Cole picked him up. He's on bye, and he's the backup to Jalen Warren. Cole kind of getting fooled by a replacement game there, 28 points. No other bids there for Kenneth. Alec Almaner, $11 also to Cole. Cole, yeah, he sent us a screenshot at some point over the weekend of his lineup that was going to be for this week, and it was just absolutely disgusting. The starting players projected like 4, 5, and 6 points. So he just needed some flex options. And I know Gainwell can't play this week, but Io Manor has a decent matchup against the Cardinals. So I think we might see him start Io Manor this week. Yep, he's in flex. So let's see. Luke picks up the Cardinals D. They're home against the Titans. Like that matchup. Josh adds Darius Slayton with the neighbor's injury. Josh adds Tajay Spears, who is eligible to be activated off IR starting this week. And when you get a chance to add a Titan, you absolutely have to. Jerry adds the Colts D for $7. They are at home against the Raiders. Geno Smith looked horrible, kind of like that. He's been throwing a ton of user picks. Yeah, I added the Giants D, just kind of fading rat bum here. Abdul Carter's looked good. Maybe make some sacks. Everything else is just like $0 bums, kickers. Will added Bryce Young for some reason, and then you added the Saints D. So overall, kind of a fun waiver week. Just you had the big Stephon Diggs sweepstakes, and then a ton of defense and injury replacement jockeying for like the $6 to $15 mark. All right, that is your week 4 waiver wire report. Now it is time to go to everyone's favorite segment.
Dun, dun, dun. Trade review. All right. Only one trade since our last show, I believe, and that is the one that went down today. So thank you, Ty and Cole, for the content. We had White Shirt trading Ashton Jeanty for Breece Hall from Cole. So just a RB swap. Pretty simple trade here. Really just who do you want rest of season. So definitely obviously want your thoughts on this, but I'm going to guess for you it was about just seeing the Raiders offensive line and how poorly it played the first 3 weeks. And I believe they just lost their left tackle for the season, or at least for a little bit. And, you know, he took advantage of the Bears matchup, but you're kind of selling high off the thought that the Bears are such a bad defense that he just looked a lot better than he will play the rest of the year. And even though he's a great player, you don't love his passing game role or the offense and the situation there. And so bit of a sell high. And then acquiring Breece Hall, I'm guessing, you know, he has a value bump with Braylon Allen getting hurt. He's going to take an even bigger share. He's got a great schedule coming up. They've got the Cowboys, the Panthers, the Bengals all in the next 4 weeks. And then Justin Fields, you know, they looked pretty good as a combo. And even without a touchdown this year, he's, you know, putting up solid numbers. So, well, you got to think he'll eventually get in the end zone. So kind of a buy low, I guess you could say. So basically what I'll say on my thoughts for who won the trade is I'm going to give it to Cole. I just think I feel like you did what you tend to do and get made fun of, and sometimes it works perfectly and sometimes it doesn't, where you probably could have just got more value out of Ashton Jeanty based on his recent performance and his trade or his draft capital and name value. And so even if Breece Hall were to outscore Jeanty rest of the year, which I don't necessarily think he will, I feel like you made the bold decision of saying a player that everyone in the league values less than Jeanty, I'm going to go and do a 1-for-1, and that I'm just going to stick my neck out, and that's going to work out for me. Whereas I feel like, especially with your team already having Josh Jacobs, James Cook, I would have probably rather seen you try to flip Jeanty into an elite receiver. Now there's really not that many elite receivers out there, and you already have QJ and Rashee Rice coming back, and so maybe you could argue you'd rather target a running back, but I feel like you could have got more potentially, and you just really zoned in on Breece Hall, because I almost feel like this was probably an easy accept for Cole, knowing that he was getting someone with the talent of Jeanty coming off his breakout game. I almost feel like you think it's too obvious of a sell high, and you didn't consider the downsides of Breece Hall, which are, they're still going to split with Isaiah Davis. Braylon Allen's not out for the year. He could be back in a few weeks. And the Jets' offense overall is still not good. And so maybe he's not going to score that many touchdowns. Whereas, yes, Jeanty has a lot of the same issues, but he's more talented and gets probably a bigger lion's share of the carries. So let me hear your thoughts. That's kind of mine. I guess I can't really – I'm not going to say definitively Cole won. I would probably just lean Jeanty rest of season. But I will say with the schedule, I would rather have Breece for the next 4 weeks. So, yeah, give me your thoughts, both short-term, long-term, and maybe did you shop Jeanty more and try for something else and land on Breece? What happened with all that?
Yeah, so definitely shopped him quite a bit throughout the week. Kind of in regards to your elite receiver comment, I was going pretty hard after Lamb from Andrew, but he didn't really seem overly interested in making that swap, which I understand. Lamb's your
1-for-1, or did you try to throw in Pearsall? What did you try?
I think
there?
it was my best offer was going to be like a Pearsall or Franklin combo with Jeanty,
and he didn't want to do that.
No, he ended up actually texting me after the trade and said he would have maybe considered Jeanty and McMillan for Lamb, but I would not have done that because I do consider McMillan like a very high upside breakout, like potentially my wide receiver too. So I would not have done that. I was looking to offload Jeanty coming off this big game. Definitely it was just a classic sell high. I've been texting you a lot through the first few weeks, just so frustrated with the Raiders offense and the offensive line and run scheme, Chip Kelly, play calling. The usage was mind-boggling in some games. Just felt like anytime they were trailing or in the 2-minute drill, they were throwing out Zamir White, Raheem Mostert, Dylan Laube instead of Jeanty. Just, I don't know. I was listening to a podcast today, and they kind of said something along the lines like, when an elite prospect shows you they're elite, then you just ride the wave. And I in some respect, I do agree with that. And I do think Jeanty will have a solid season. He'll fall into the end zone some, but overall, this is just a complete fade of the Raiders' offensive environment. I think the offensive line is horrible. They just lost potentially their best offensive lineman. I saw a cut up of all of Ashton Jeanty's best runs of the year, and they were all off the left tackle side, following Colton Miller. So it's going to be a train wreck at offensive line. Jeanty doesn't really catch passes. I know he caught 2 touchdowns, but they were hitch routes and he just broke a tackle. I'm not saying it's fluky. Like Jeanty's good. He's going to make those plays. I think on all 3 of his touchdowns, he avoided or broke a tackle. So he's definitely going to make a handful of plays rest of season that are going to make me look stupid. But I don't agree with your comment that I zeroed in on Brees. I think I shopped Jeanty pretty well. I was in talks with Cannon.
So what were your talks with Cannon? Like, what were you targeting? What did he say?
So for Cannon, I was trying to target Rome and Etienne as a package.
And he didn't want to do that.
He was pretty unresponsive, which led me to believe that he wasn't interested. And I get it. Like Rome, at this point, a month in, Rome's wide receiver 3. So you kind of have to buy that breakout at this point. And then Etienne is top 10. So it's like, are you really going to give up 2 top 10 players for someone that just had their only good game, even with the hype Jeanty had? But that was the kind of offer.
Well, here's what annoys. I will support you with this. Here's what annoys me is you say that, but then when you make the trade, Cannon comes in the group text and is like, "What? You're an idiot!" Like, yeah, I hate how Cannon is so unresponsive and like doesn't want to ever do any trades. And then when you trade away the guy you were offering him, he's like, "Oh my god, what?"
Yeah, it's annoying, and I would like a response, like, "Hey, I'm not interested in that. Hey, I really want to hold on to a dude." Like, whatever it is, like, just fucking respond.
Like, I get kind of annoyed at people in our other league who like just want to give like every explanation for everything, but like it is kind of nice at least knowing where people stand. Like, hey, because I try to do like Andrew texted me the other day and asked me about a trade, and I was like giving him very specific like reasons why I didn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so even like I just like hearing that because then you have feedback on how he views certain players, or like you at least know it's not like. I do think obviously your offer has to be reasonable to expect a response, but if your offer is reasonable, I feel like they should at least tell you why they don't want to do it.
Yeah. And then the other player I tried to make a
trade etiquette here. I feel like we need to get our trade etiquette up across the league.
The other player I tried to make a run at was Gibbs, and it just seemed like Will is, and rightfully so, like he's just viewing him as untouchable. Like I wanted to package Jeanty plus to get Gibbs.
Yeah.
And he just wasn't really interested. He was like, I would need like 3 Jeantys to trade away Gibbs. So I'll talk about the Brees side of this a little bit and kind of how that buy came about. I think a few things that I prefer in Brees over Jeanty. Number 1 is going to be the receiving role. He has over 30 receiving yards in 3 of his 4 games, and he's got 12 targets in the last 2 games. So game script does not really affect Brees, which I really like. I know it's only half PPR, but catches are still way more valuable than carries. And right now it seems like Jeanty is, again, I know he caught 2 touchdowns. Being realistic, he is a one-dimensional back right now, and it's rushing. The other thing I like about Brees is this is kind of his moment, right? Like this is his opportunity. Braylon is down. He's in a contract year. He's like looking around, seeing Kyron get paid, James Cook get paid, Bijan's gonna, like all these guys that he got drafted over. He's been held in regard just as good or not better, are all getting paid. He's sitting here. After this year, he's going to be a free agent or tagged. Like he doesn't know. So this is his runway. Like this is his chance to show either the Jets or the rest of the league why he's worth a James Cook contract this offseason. So he's got more motivation than anyone to go off. The schedule is great. You mentioned the schedule looks really good. The offensive line is actually playing well. They were pummeling. I know it's the Dolphins. They were pummeling the Dolphins. They're rookie. They're young. They've seemed to hit on their young offensive linemen. They look good. Checking like PFF grades and just some other like offensive line rankings. They're like middle of the pack, which for the Jets is actually good. And like when you compare it to the Raiders, like the Raiders are consensus 31 or 32. Like you cannot find a ranking of the Raiders inside the top 30. That's how bad they are. And that was before Colton Miller went on IR. Braylon's on IR. There's no one, like, I'm not, Isaiah Davis will spell him, but this is Breece's backfield. The Jets are 0-4. Aaron Glenn needs to prove that he is worth a damn, and the only way to do that is by giving the ball to his best players, and that's going to be Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. Their defense is terrible, so they're going to probably run the ball more, if anything, just to protect their defense and attempt to. You mentioned it. He scored 0 touchdowns this year, and he's been solid. Like, he's looked good. I think the concerns, like, we clowned the pick at the 5-6 turn. The concerns we had about Breece coming into the year, the two main ones, I think have both disappeared. The first main concern we had was splitting a backfield with Braylon Allen. That's gone. The second concern we had was just Breece not being the same player. Eye test, he has looked as good as he ever has this season. Would you agree?
I think
maybe not the peak, but like
I was gonna say, I think he
looks fast. Like he has
that like 50-60 yard play. Like we have not seen.
Yeah, but he had like his burst is back.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you thought about the fact that Braylon's going to come back? You think just because he's hurt and on IR that when he comes back he won't be involved, or what?
I think even when Braylon has been there, like Breece had 19 carries for 107 yards in week 1, and Braylon was active. So it's like, I think this is, no matter Braylon there or not, this is Breece's backfield, and Braylon is going to go on IR. He's dealing with a knee. Who knows? Like, it's kind of one of those, like, could he come back and affect Breece at some point? Sure, but I'm not going to, like, let that affect my decision. I
will say one thing that's nice for you is, you know, if you make the playoffs in week 14, he has Miami at home, at Jacksonville, at New Orleans, New England. So that's at least 2 pretty great matchups, if not 3. If you get into the fantasy playoffs. I don't know what Jeanty. Let me look at Jeanty's, because like
Jeanty's was tough, man. It was like at Philly, at Houston, just games I don't think
at Philly, at Houston, Denver. So I definitely would say Breece's playoff schedule and overall schedule was easier.
It's just it's kind of a buy low on Breece. The buy low on the Jets are 0-4. They're not going to finish 0-17. This team will have some success. I think it's going to come in the run game, and I don't know. I think Breece is a good buy. And honestly, I was done dealing with the headache of the Raiders. Anytime they got down, they would throw in freaking Laube. Geno Smith, dude, he looks horrible this year. Like, I don't know. I think I cashed in. Listen, thanks, Jeanty. The 109, you got me a 30-point week. I'll take it. I loved it. That 64, we'll always have that run, that 64-yard run, but I think that's going to be pretty much more or less far and away his best fantasy game of the year.
Yeah,
I think he'll still have some games where he falls in the end zone, but I don't know. The Bears are the worst rush defense in the NFL, and I think he just kind of took advantage of that. So everyone clowned me when I traded Higgins for Johnston. I think this is kind of similar. I think Breece Hall will outscore Ash and Jeanty the rest of the season. So I'm putting my stamp on this one. Breece Lightning. All right. That is your trade review segment. We'll see how that one goes. Our next segment is we are going to redraft the top 10. We're a month into the season. We're a month into the season, and a lot of rest of season rankings have changed. We've had injuries, we've had busts, we've had guys emerge. So this should be a fun exercise to kind of see where we're at rest of season. This is going to be our format, so 10-team league, half PPR. If we got to literally jump into a time machine and repick the first round, we'll start with you. I mean, the teams aren't in the right order, but who gives a shit?
Wait, like jump into a time machine of like we are redrafting from August, or we're redrafting?
No. Like, sorry. We're
when you said the time machine.
We jump in the time machine, but you only get to play from week 5 on.
Okay.
So the first, you don't get any of the production, but you get all of the knowledge.
Right.
So you had the 101. Obviously, you wouldn't take Chase for very obvious reasons. Who would you take in half PPR? Would it be Puka? Would you be looking at like a Bijan or one of these running backs?
Yeah. I would probably be taking Puka just because receiver is so bad and he's so good. He scored the most points. There doesn't seem to be any reason why it's going to tail off at all. And receiver is so thin that just taking him just seems like the safest, most obvious pick.
Sorry, I'm trying to. All right, so you would take Puka like on the clock, playing it out. You're taking Puka like over Bijan.
Yep.
Okay. We'll kind of just go back and forth here. I think I would take Bijan number 2. He's just been so damn good, so consistent. He's young. He's an alpha. There's just not a lot of concerns. He's safe. He's involved in the passing game. He looks good rushing. He scores touchdowns. What is he on this season? Is he RB4? RB4. And I feel like that's just going to go up from there. So I would take Bijan, number 2. Who would you take third?
I'll take Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, I have him.
Whoa.
So could be a little biased, but he's the RB2, and I don't really see any reason why this is going to go down.
Yeah.
He's finally involved in the receiving game. He has 13 catches in 4 games. Like, that's pretty great for a guy like Taylor, who's also getting 20 carries a game. The Colts look very impressive with Daniel Jones. There's going to be plenty, like, their offensive line's good. Their schedule is pretty easy. So, like, there's really, and he plays every snap. He's like the only running back who plays every snap on a good offense. So it's like there's really nothing at all, unless you think Taylor's going to get hurt, to be scared of with Jonathan Taylor. And so I love him. I thought about trading him just because I need the depth, but he's so good, and I feel like I'm the only one who views him as like 103 type good, but that's where I would take him, honestly.
It's hard to argue against it just because he's been so good. I think my only pushback would be like he went at the 2-3 turn for a reason.
But why was that reason, and is that not dispelled?
I think the injury stuff could still happen. Like, I think he's very prone to like an ankle sprain, more so than other players. Would you disagree?
I mean, I guess
it feels like he's gotten hurt at some point every single year. And
but like, I mean, I'm not saying McCaffrey's injury risk is lower. You could say Gibbs.
Well, McCaffrey got taken. He got taken in the first round. You know what I'm saying? Like, his upside, I think we still view CMC at his best better than Jonathan Taylor at his best. And yeah, Luke just put in the chat, main reason was the Colts offense, and the Colts offense looks great. So I don't know. Here's the thing, between the next few picks are going to be Gibbs, Taylor, McCaffrey, maybe Sun God. I don't know. But like all of those guys are in the same tier. So you can't really go, they're all like, especially the 3 running backs, Gibbs, McCaffrey, Taylor, they're all getting it done. And there's really no reason that it's going to go down for any of them. So it's kind of just choose your flavor. I disagree a little. I think I'm going to take Gibbs. I have Gibbs comfortably ahead of CMC and JT just because he's so young and fast and good. And there's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like JT and CMC have had this long track record of injuries. But here's the thing. JT is outperforming Gibbs significantly, including the passing game. Gibbs is not doing much in the receiving game.
JT is doing more.
I just don't care.
We're
still at the point of the year where a month sample size is not proving to me that Jonathan Taylor is better than Jahmyr Gibbs.
I think you're drafting as if this were an NFL football draft.
No, I mean, listen, 2 of the matchups for the Lions have been at Green Bay and against Cleveland. Those are 2 of the tougher matchups in the league. Against Baltimore, he shredded them.
Honestly, to only put up 18 against Chicago is not great.
Yeah, but he went for 24 against Baltimore. He's so good. And he's young. That's the thing. I don't have to worry about him going down with an injury, at least in my head.
I just think Gibbs is always going to be limited a little bit by Mop, and that makes him not a top 3 guy for me right now. He's still top 5, top 6. I just think Mop limits him just enough.
I just don't care. And also, if Mop goes, we saw at the end of last year, if Mop goes down, Gibbs is a league winner, 25 per game.
Again, we're splitting hairs, but okay, so you're taking Gibbs at 4.
I'm guessing that means you're taking McCaffrey at 5.
Yeah, the thing about McCaffrey, what's weird is his rushing production has kind of been dog shit. He has 50 yards every game, so it's pretty much all receiving, and Kittle's coming back. Pearsall
and Jennings are both missing the game tomorrow.
I know. They're eventually going to play, though, so the question is, will he continue to get 12 targets a game?
15 targets against Arizona.
Yeah, no, he's been insane receiving, and that seems unsustainable, but he's such a great player. And he's getting so much volume. You definitely worry a little bit about him getting hurt eventually, but he's so consistent. He's gotten 18.7 or more every single week in half PPR. That's just you have to take that in the top 5.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go with James Cook next. My superstar diamond in the rough, round 3. Everyone forgot about him pick. The touchdown regression argument has fallen flat on its face. The Bills' offense is humming. Joe Brady loves him some James Cook. He's been getting that red zone work. He's been involved in the passing game. He already has more 19 carry games this year than he did last year. And he is just so consistent. I mean, 18.7, 26, 19, 21. His floor is 18, 19 points. He's averaging 21. He's the RB1 in fantasy. Do I expect him to finish as the RB1? No, I think he'll finish maybe 4 or 5, but he's off to a great start. Their schedule is barbecue chicken. Their division is barbecue chicken. Ray Davis and Ty Johnson are just guys. And honestly, I've been pleasantly surprised that Josh Allen is not vulturing him more. I feel like there have been times in the past where Josh Allen's done a lot of those little quick, even 1 or 2 yard tush pushes or run in the shotgun, but it feels like Joe Brady's all right, let's keep Allen upright, Allen healthy. We're going to hand it off to James Cook. Our offensive line is great. I think their offensive line is top 5 in run blocking, and James Cook's had some crazy plays so far this year with vision and balance. That one run against the Jets was, oh my God, that was insane. So I just think he's so safe, and you can just lock him in as an RB1. I'll take him 6th overall if we redrafted.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree. I do think, didn't their coordinator come out and say something about using more backs?
Yeah, and Luke's comment here, anyone that thinks they could throw Ray Davis in and get that similar production is a moron.
Any fan saying that is an idiot. But here's the thing: the Bills are 4-0, I believe, and if they just keep winning and winning, I could see a scenario where they only they go back to giving him 15 carries instead of 20.
Why though? What they're doing right now is working, and unless he's wearing down, there's no reason.
Didn't their coach literally say we want him fresh in December and January? So why would he say
for all we know, that was an answer to a specific question from a reporter about Ray Davis, and he just said,
But
some
like,
bullshit.
why would he say that if it wasn't somewhat true?
I mean, Luke can chime in here in the chat. It's working so well, and he's so good, and they paid him. Like, if you want that money, you better go earn it. And they're giving him the work that reflects that he's an RB1. He wanted that work, and he's getting it, and he's doing well with it.
No, I mean, yeah, I agree for the most part. But if that happened at all, he does have less than 20 receiving yards in the last 3 games. So I could see a scenario where he's really, really good, but not top 5. But I would still probably take him right around this range. So, all right.
Who'd you take next?
Next pick, I'm going to go Josh Jacobs. So I'm going to take your other running back.
Interesting.
I just think Jacobs is so safe. And the Packers seem to be, I guess I'll cautiously say this, the Packers seem to be a pretty good like machine on offense that's just going to produce touchdown opportunities. He looks really good. They're coming off the bye. Their offensive line's getting healthy. So overall, there's just not really anything to not like about Josh Jacobs. He's the number 7 running back. But that's just how good running back has been. So I feel like the safety of him is like worth taking here.
Yeah, I will say, as someone who like owns him, the rushing efficiency has been kind of terrible so far. He's averaging 3.3 yards per carry. The Packers' run blocking is horrible, so you're kind of relying on touchdowns, which, again, he's like the workhorse in a good offense, and he has 4 touchdowns in 4 weeks, so he's averaging a touchdown a week. He's decently involved in the passing game. So, like, the floor and the work is always going to be there. I would love for him to start being able to run for, like, more than 3.3 yards per carry. It feels like he's getting stuffed a lot. He's not breaking off big runs. I think off the top of my head, I would say his longest run of the year is, like 15 yards or something like that. So, I don't know. Obviously, he's a stud. I love him. I have him, and I would not have taken him there. So I'm a little happy you did that, but also kind of surprised.
All right, trade him to me.
Well, I'll trade him to you if you have Sun God, because that's who I would have taken at 7, and that is who I'm going to take at 8. The number 2 wide receiver in fantasy. All the talk about Ben Johnson's leaving, the offense is gonna duck, Jameson Williams is gonna get more targets, Laporta. Nope. Amon-Ra St. touchdown is so good, averaging over 20 fantasy points. He's just been an absolute stud so far this year. What did we call him in the group chat? He's like the best front runner ever. Just the Lions jump on these teams, and in the fourth quarter, they force feed Sun God from like inside the 5 on 4th down. They'll throw him a touchdown. But at this point, it's just there's no reason to doubt him. People have been doing it since draft day. He's been a god pretty much since he entered the league, and he's going to continue to do that. I guess the one thing you could maybe look at is he has scored 6 touchdowns in 4 weeks, and that obviously seems unsustainable, but he's just so good. The offense is good. There's no reason to doubt him. I think he belongs at this spot.
Agreed. All right, next pick. I'm actually gonna take Devon Achane. So one of Jerry's players makes it into the first round. This is a lot of it is connected to the Tyreek Hill injury. Basically, I think and Achane's already been really consistent. He hasn't really been as like explosive, but with Tyreek Hill going out, I think the Dolphins are going to have to throw him even more passes, and he's already a monster in the receiving game. So, and honestly, their offensive line rushing has looked better than I expected. And so really he's a workhorse. He's kind of like McCaffrey light, and without Tyreek Hill, he's going to even be more important in the receiving game. And so I think I would take him here over any of these other receivers and running backs.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I think this is kind of where A-Chain's like the last obvious one, and I feel like it kind of becomes like a pick your flavor. There's a lot of potentials. I think the guy I'm gonna go with is someone who did go in the first round, is off to a little bit of a slow start, but we just know the upside he has, and that's Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, that's who I was hoping.
I just think the Eagles are 4-0. Their defense is great. The scripts are always going to be there. Early on this year, the offense has been really boring, not super explosive. The rushing average hasn't been there, but you just have to think the offense will start to score more. Saquon will get some more room. He still looks great. Like, he's making good cuts. He's gotten some explosive runs when he gets room. So last year he had 2,000 rushing yards. We knew it was going to come down a little bit, and it has, but I think there's still plenty of great days ahead for Mr. Bustery Barkley. And I think he belongs here. So 8 running backs in the first round, 2 receivers. That I would say that's about right, just because a lot of the other top receivers are either hurt or dealing with horrible quarterback team situations like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. If I list like behind Puka and Sun God, the guys that are at the top, it's
who
like
would be
Rome Odunze.
Who would be your receiver 3 rest of the season?
I think you would have to say, it's between 2 for me. I would say it's between Justin Jefferson and JSN. I would lean Jefferson just because he's so fucking talented that you saw it this last week. Like, over the course of 17 games, you just have to believe that's going to shine through. Despite you got to trust Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson will find a way to put his gift on display.
Yeah, no, I would probably put Jefferson third. I'm not really buying JSN as like a amazing fantasy player. I think he's good.
I mean, who else would even be? Luke says QJ robbed. Yeah, I mean QJ is like the obvious one. We're trying to give some different names here.
Yeah, I mean, I think you still have to maybe buy into Nico Collins. I don't know.
What? CJ Stroud has looked horrible.
I mean, honestly, Garrett Wilson just seems to soak up targets. But
I'll say Drake London's kind of a dark horse.
Yeah.
But I think it's got to be Jefferson probably at 3.
Yeah, Jefferson, London, JSN are in that range. I would go with Jefferson. But that's crazy that Jerry, if Jefferson would say was the next overall pick, that's crazy that Jerry would have 2 of those top picks and his team's still so bad.
Yeah. Worthy's back for him. I could see some things turning up for him. Odunze, where would you put Odunze? Would you say Odunze is a second round pick if we redrafted?
Maybe back end.
Yeah. I actually think running backs would kind of continue to be like my next. Hampton would be up there. Guys, I mean, Jeanty. Would you say Jeanty's still a second round pick?
Yeah, 2-3-ish. And Breece Hall, I mean, you traded him for Breece. Breece is in that range probably.
Where would Javonte go in a redraft? He's RB6.
Round 3.
Okay. Bucky. Let's say what if Bucky was fully healthy?
Round 2.
Okay. Let's see. Anyone else interesting? Henry? Where do you think Henry goes in a redraft?
2-3, round 3 probably.
Does either quarterback make it into round 2?
No. Josh Allen early round 3. Lamar with the injury. If Lamar never got hurt, maybe, but
hey, what about Bat Debo. Jaden's coming back. He's been great. He's wide receiver 10.
3-4.
Yeah, it's definitely been a pretty interesting year. Like I think
you could argue Devontae round 2, 3-ish.
You get so wrapped up in like your redraft rankings that you forget you forget how volatile this stuff is when we get in season. Like, It's crazy.
Yep. All right, you ready to look ahead to week 5?
Yep, that was redrafting the first round. Now we are closing the book.
That's a good question from Luke, and I want to get your thoughts.
Where
would you put Jamar Chase? Where would you put Jamar Chase? Round 2?
I would take Debo over him to answer the question.
You're an idiot.
I would. I would take.
You're a dumbass.
I would take QJ over him. I would take Rome
right, let's move
over
on.
him.
You're trying.
I mean, I think he would be down in like the Devontae Adams range, DK Devontae, like number 1 alpha, but something about the situation is not great. That's where I would put him. All right. Moving on to week 5. It's a pivotal week 5 in the Blind Squirrels Fantasy League. We got tons of fun matchups. Quick standings review. God, you rejected that? You're a moron. We got let's do a quick standings review. All right. We've got Cannon sitting at the top 4-0, undefeated, never lost. And then we've got Jerry sitting at the bottom 0-4, only lost. No Renaissance coming here for Jerry this year. And then we've got Showtime sitting at 3-1 apiece. You and me tied for second. And then there's a foursome at 2-2. Cole, Josh, Oracle, and Andrew. And then we've got 2 1-3 teams. Lucas Raper, defending champ, Circle the Wagons, and William McComb. So outside of Jerry and Cannon, I would say it's like still very possible that you fall into the Sacco. It's still very possible that Luke makes a turnaround and makes the playoffs. Like I think 0-4, it's like, all right, see you, Jerry. Or like, I know he did it last year, but there's not going to be another Renaissance. You heard it here on this podcast. There will be no Renaissance in 2025. You can clip it. You can send it in the group chat. Jerry is dead. We will see him in the Sacco. It's a Jera session. All right. And then for Cannon, 4-0. His team's so deep. He's playing. He has a bye this week. And he's just well on his way to a championship. Not a championship. He's well on his way to a playoff berth. Freudian slip, maybe. All right. Let's take a look at some of these matchups here in week 5, pivotal week 5. Let's start off with the most irrelevant game of all the irrelevance presented by Denise and David's Candles. We got 0-4 Jeremiah versus 1-3 Will. This is the clown fighting gif. This is like homeless people fighting meme. It's just everything. It's horrible. It's kind of disgusting that either of these teams has to even come away with a win here. Quarterback matchup. Baker Mayfield for Jerry. Bryce Young for Will. I would almost go Bryce here solely for the matchup. Home against the Dolphins.
Wait, did you just say Bryce Young is being started this week?
Yeah, supposedly. I will. Lamar Jackson is out, and I guess he liked that Miami matchup. But I mean, I'm picking him over Baker. Like Baker has hurt receivers, and he's at Seattle. It doesn't really get much worse than that.
He's hurt himself.
Yeah, he's questionable. He's at Seattle. Horrible matchup. I like Bryce Young just because. I mean, Miami's a free space. Receiver, Kamara against the Giants, David Montgomery at Cincinnati, and then Jahmyr Gibbs and God, what the hell? Ramondre Stevenson is in Will's lineup. That's disgusting. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to torch the Bengals. Montgomery, This is interesting. We got a Montgomery versus Gibbs. Who will be favored in the red zone? I could see Montgomery plunging into the end zone here. And I actually like the Giants matchup for Kamara. I'll take Jerry at running back. Wide receiver, Cortland Stuffin and George Pickens. Will is in a world of hurt this week at wide receiver. He's got Drake London on bye and Mike Evans hurt. So he's having to turn to Stuffin and Pickens. At Philly's a tough matchup. The Jets are pretty barbecue chicken, though, and Pickens is coming off that monster game that launched him into the top 5 fantasy rankings. Oh, my God, Jerry. Jerry is starting Wan'Dale Robinson. Malik Neighbors is hurt, so I guess he'll soak up some targets, and the Saints matchup is good, but Jesus, Wan'Dale Robinson is just horrible at football. And then Justin Jefferson still overseas playing against Cleveland, though. It feels like a gross game. Cleveland defense is great, and I guess Wentz is still starting. Jesus Christ. I'm going to take Will at receiver. I just think his guys have better matchups, and I'm not picking anyone that has Wan'Dale Robinson. Tight end, Hawkinson versus Kincaid. Hawkinson actually garbage timed his way. No, he only had 5 points. I feel like he got a bunch of dump offs late, and Will kept texting, but it didn't really amount to anything. And then Kincaid is like the weirdest player in fantasy, where it's like he gets like 3 targets a game. You just got to hope one of them is a 30-yard touchdown. Kincaid's got 3 touchdowns on the year, though, and Hawkinson really hasn't done shit. So until Hawkinson does anything, I'm going to have to give the benefit of the doubt here to Kincaid and Jerry at the tight end spot. Flexes. Jerry blows Will out of the water here at flex. A-Chain and Worthy, 2 super fast, super dynamic players. Solid matchups, too. Carolina sucks, and then Jacksonville, I don't think their secondary is anything to write home about. And then for Will, he's got Olave and Kirk. So looking at the matchups, I'm a little surprised how much I like some of Jerry's plays in comparison to Will. I think Will is he's in a really tough spot. Lamar out, Swift on bye, London on bye, Evans hurt. Jerry could even be getting McLaurin back potentially, which could be a nice boost to his team. I'd like to see him throw Kyler in at quarterback over Mayfield. I know the Titans are kind of a run funnel, and we should see decent games from the running backs there, but James Conner's down, Benson's down. Kyler is the best player in that backfield. We could see some Kyler rushing production, and they should just have a field day against Tennessee. So you always just take the offense that's going to score more points, and you hope the touchdowns go your way. I could see Tampa Bay struggling at Seattle. I am going to go with Jerry, the Renaissance, to get his first win here. It'll be an embarrassing one for Will. He'll fall to 1-4. Just some rough starts for him. Ramondre Stevenson, Christian Kirk being started in 2025. I like some of Jerry's plays. I think this one could come down to Monday Night Football. Xavier Worthy on Monday night will need 10 points, and I think he catches a long touchdown from Mahomes, and we will yet again be doing a film breakdown on a Patrick Mahomes touchdown. Jerry takes the win here. The Renaissance starts in week 5. I'm going to take Jerry 127 to 120.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Will. I just think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to destroy the Bengals. Pickens is going to feast on the Jets. And Jerry's team just sucks. He might go over. All right. Next irrelevant matchup. We'll take a look at Luke v. Cannon. This is basically the definition of a must-win for Luke. Desperation time, 1-3 versus 4-0. Cannon, this is just icing on the cake for Cannon. Another win to go 5-0. So huge, a lot of pressure here on Luke heading into week 5. Looking at the matchups, quarterback, we've got Herbert versus Mahomes. Home against Washington, that has to be a good game for Herbert. Their Washington secondary is terrible. He's at home. Mahomes at Jacksonville. Jags D actually has been pretty solid. I'll give Luke the edge there, but I know he's going to be nervous going into Monday night that it's not wrapped up. Speaking of Monday, just as an aside, Cannon's also starting ETN, so this one probably won't be decided going into Monday. So that'll be interesting to watch. At running back, we've got McCaffrey on Thursday with all the other 49ers players hurt. And then Quinshawn. I like Quinshawn quite a bit this week, in London against Minnesota. Cannon's got Saquon and Kyron. So, I don't know. Feels like kind of a wash.
We've got two Thursday night backs playing each other.
Yeah, I mean, maybe slight edge to Cannon there just because you don't really know what Quinshawn's going to give you, and McCaffrey's entire team is hurt around him. So we'll see. Receiver, we've got Sun God against the Bengals. That should be barbecue chicken. Devontae, got a lot of Thursday in this game.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, but Devontae's been pretty consistent. JSN and Igbuka. Don't really love that for Cannon. That game has kind of a lower over-under if I'm remembering this right. 44.5. That's okay, but I don't know. I just feel like maybe he has better options on the bench. I don't know. Like he's got Michael Pittman, who's been good. Brian Thomas, he's finally just sitting him. Jameson against the Bengals. I could definitely see one of these guys on Cannon's bench going off and him regretting going Igbuka JSN, but either way, I'll give the edge pretty easily at receiver to Luke. Tight end, Hunter Henry. Yeah, this is interesting because Luke's going to be done by the end of the afternoon games, and Cannon's going to have a Sunday night, 2 Sunday nights, and 2 Monday nights. He's got Prater and Hunter Henry. So he's kind of hoping Hunter Henry just double whammy against the Bills, falls in the end zone. Brock Bowers.
Tied in one.
Yeah, tied in one. Brock Bowers, Luke kind of needs Brock Bowers to get his shit together. He's kind of been terrible. But, yeah, I'll take Bowers. Flex, we got Chuba in a good matchup, but he is questionable. Keenan Allen, the stack. He needs a touchdown there. Cannon's going Javonte and ETN. Pretty easy strength here for Cannon. Javonte and ETN have been top 12 backs and, okay matchups there. So, overall.
Here's a question. Would you, if you're Luke, would you be giving any consideration to Waddle with no Tyreek against the Panthers, Samuel with Jaden coming back, or DeMercado with no Benson?
Not DeMercado, but Waddle over Hubbard if Hubbard's considered limited going into the game. Yeah.
What about over Allen?
I feel like Allen, you kind of just start for the stack unless some people kind of view stacks differently. Like if he just wants to say, Herbert, have a good game, don't care who you throw to, then maybe you play like Waddle and Debo, and then you just hope Herbert's good. But obviously Keenan's been pretty consistent. He plays well at home. He's going to be fine. I just, it's whether or not you get a stack touchdown. So I like playing Keenan for the stack upside, but Chuba has such a good matchup. If he's healthy, you almost have to play him, but it's really all about his health. So we'll see. Oh yeah, Luke will be on an international flight. That's hilarious. Hopefully he pays for the Wi-Fi so we can barrage him with text messages about how Patrick Mahomes just threw another touchdown in his face. But
where is he going? Sacco, Japan?
Got him. He's going to Italy for a wedding. But okay, yeah, I'm gonna pick Luke. I think Herbert does have a big game, and Sun God scores 2 more touchdowns. This one, it just feels like Luke needs this one more than Cannon, and he's going to squeak it out. I'm going to say it does come down to Monday night. Mahomes and ETN are going to need 40 combined, and they come up just short. Kareem Hunt rushes in a touchdown, and they keeps stalling out in the red zone. I'm going to go with Lucas Rapert, 137 to 135.
Yeah, if football games came down to who needed it more, Arkansas would win a lot more. I'm going to go with Cannon. I think his roster just outclasses Luke here. The reign of Luke was cute. last year, but it's kind of all crumbling down this year. Bowers is a bust. Schubert sucks, and I'm kind of liking Cannon's flexes. He's finally he's having the courage of his convictions to bench BTJ, throw in ETN, throw in Javante, lean into these breakouts. And even with Roma Dunze on bye, Cannon's depth is going to show its quality here. I think Patrick Mahomes will score over 25 fantasy points on Monday night. I think ETN will add in another 15 plus. Cannon will probably need 60 going into Sunday Night Football. I think he gets 10 from Henry, 10 from Prater, 25 from Mahomes, and 16 from ETN to seal the win. Cannon wins this one by 1. Devastating fashion for Lucas Raper. He gets off the international plane to wherever the hell he's going and realizes that he is 1-4. Cannon 131 to 130. All right. Our next irrelevant matchup of the week. We've got a couple of 2-2 teams facing off. The matchup king versus the ugly ducklings. Big boost to Josh's lineup this week. Jaden Daniels is back. He full practice today. He is set to start against the Chargers. Tough matchup, but Jaden, I don't know. I feel like Jaden's going to come back and look great his first game back. Luke says Trano's ball. No, he does not. Have you seen his lineup? And then for Cole, his quarterback, Jalen Hurts, tush push Merchant, home against Denver. I feel like Hurts is just so consistent. He's going to get like 20 to 25 points every single week. I'm going to take Jaden here. I feel like this is a big week for Jaden. He's coming back. He's facing the Chargers. Chargers defense will put up points. Jaden will have to throw, and I just think the rushing plus he's been sitting on the sideline, probably just irking to get back out there and show what he can do. I think Jaden puts up 30. Running back wise, we've got no Lamar, Derrick Henry, and then Ken Walker. Tough matchup against the Bucks. Holy shit, Cole. Cole is starting RJ Harvey at Philly. I know RJ looked good last week. He's getting more involved, but that's a tough matchup for a rookie. And I just don't know how much success they're going to have on the ground there. And then newly acquired Ashton Jeanty, fresh in the lineup. We'll see what the instant dividends are here. Fake fan conundrum or a double whammy alert against the Colts. And Josh, I think Josh's running backs here. I know Henry's been struggling and Charbonnet's been stealing some work, but it's not even close. I'll take Henry and Walker over RJ Harvey and Ashton Jeanty all day. Wide receiver, Jesus Christ, Cole. Whew, okay. Hollywood Brown and Shakir versus Flowers and Brown. I know Brown's off to a bad start and he's facing Sertan, but I don't even care. It's just like Cole's literally starting waiver wire players. So I'm going to take Josh at wide receiver. I'm going to take Josh at tight end. McBride is just better than Ertz. And then at flex, we've got Potato, who could be in line to start if Bucky Irving is set to miss the game, which he could be. He was seen at practice with a boot and crutches. Not a good sign. And then right off waivers, into the lineup, Alec Manor, wide receiver rookie. For Josh, he's got McConkey and Chase Brown. Brown obviously has been dog shit since Burrow went down. McConkey's been dog shit since week 1. So honestly, most of these flex options are horrible for both teams. I'm going to go with Cole at flex. I just feel like maybe Rachaad White gets a bunch of garbage time catches and Isle Manor catches a touchdown. So overall, this matchup actually ended up being pretty disgusting. Cole is projected less than 100 with a full lineup set. Bijan on bye. He's kind of a Bijan and the boys type of team. I'm going to go with Josh here. I just think Cole's kind of embarrassing himself with this lineup, and I like Jaden to have a big game. Mickey Mouse win here for Josh. He gets it done 107 to 90.
Yeah, I'll also go with Josh, but kind of like you said, by default, pretty low scoring, but he'll get it done this week. All right, now we are going to look at our Showtime matchups of the week, presented by ESPN.com. And we're going to look at White Shirt versus Not Jesus, Ty versus Max. Max kind of on a hot streak here. You're getting him at a tough time. You've got a couple bye weeks, so we'll see if you are going to contend in this one. Looking at the quarterbacks, Drake May at Buffalo, Sunday Night Football versus Justin Fields. God, Justin Fields against Dallas. You are terrified of that matchup.
I was hoping he was going to leave Stafford in.
No, he's not an idiot. Justin Fields is going to go for 40 against Dallas and going to destroy Drake May, who's probably going to pee his pants at Buffalo on Sunday night in prime time. Yeah, honestly, if I were you, I'd consider Dak Prescott, but Drake May's been pretty good. So yeah, probably Fields easy for Max. Running back, you've got James Cook and Breece Hall. I guess you're kind of hoping Breece Hall steals those touchdowns from Justin Fields.
Yeah.
James Cook should have a good game. Amari Hampton for Max and Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason, kind of a tough matchup against the Browns. You're kind of hoping he gets shut down there in the London game, but it is kind of annoying. You have to watch the London game just to monitor that.
Yeah. I was going to be so busy otherwise at 8:30 on Sunday.
That's just going to be a depressing game to lay eyes on, but I'll give you the edge at running back. It's just James Cook and Breece at home is just too good. Receiver, you're going with Teteroa McMillan against the Dolphins. If he can't get it done this week, he's never going to get it done. And Quentin Johnston, just continue that touchdown hot streak. Good matchup there. And then he's going with Puka and Marvin Harrison. Puka, obviously, the number one wide receiver. Marvin, solid matchup. Titans are a bit of a run funnel, but at home against a bad defense, I don't hate it. Definitely lean him just because Puka's so good, but I like your matchups for sure. Tight end, Tyler Warren over Laporta pretty easily, but against the Bengals, a team can kind of do whatever they want, so I could see Laporta just getting a touchdown randomly. Flexes, you're going with Stephon Diggs straight off of waivers, the $111 man. Stacking in with May. Revenge game against the Bills. You're kind of hoping for that revenge narrative. I like that play. He should at least be solid, maybe 70 yards or so. See if he scores. And then Michael Carter, straight off of the ad drops this morning with the trade.
Okay, can we talk about this for just a sec? Why was there a mad rush for Emari DeMercado and then no one even bothered to pick up Michael Carter? Because I got kind of screwed, a little unlucky. Like, as the Benson owner, I was in a meeting, like in a budget meeting, could not look at my phone. I did not see the news get blasted out about Benson getting thrown on IR till like 30 minutes after, and I was like, oh my god, there's like Carter and Emari are both gonna be way gone, but no one picked up Carter. Like, why?
Yeah, you still got to it relatively quick, I would say, within the hour.
Yeah.
So I feel like there was a lot of conflicting reports during that hour or two on Twitter and everything, and coaches' commentary about kind of how that split's going to go. Obviously, DeMercado was a higher projection, so I think that's why he was the mad rush by the sheep in our league that follow the ESPN projections. I considered just nabbing Carter, but I kind of decided it'd probably be a 50-50 timeshare, and maybe it's just not worth investing in. But I do think as the afternoon went on and more reports came out, it was clear that Carter is probably going to play more of the Benson starter role. So I think against Tennessee, that is going to be a solid enough flex. And with your bye weeks, injuries, and all that, he's worth throwing in there. I do think plenty of other teams in the league would have been wise to grab him. But it's still Michael Carter, so he's not really guaranteed anything. But it's a good matchup, so we'll see. And then Giants defense for flexes for him, Nico Collins. You're kind of scared of Nico. Baltimore defense is missing like everybody, So he could have a big game. And then Garrett
He's got a
Wilson
knee
against
injury.
Dallas. That's actually a barbecue chicken matchup. Dallas is horrible against receivers, and he's stacking him with Fields. So
yeah, it feels like a Brees game.
no, I'm actually going to go with Max in this one. I feel like his lineup is actually kind of stacked this week, and literally with Field and Wilson against Dallas. That's a great option to have stacked this week. So you've got a bunch of bye weeks, and you're playing desperation guys off of waivers. So I feel like if Max isn't going to beat you this week, he would never beat you. So I'm going to go with Max actually pretty easily. I think you kind of get humbled in this one. Max 137, you 112.
I could see a loss here. My team's in a bit of a tough spot. Jacobs on bye, Benson hurt, Warren bye, Pearsall hurt, Rice suspended. But I'm going to pick myself. White shirt gets it done. We're going to destroy Jesus. We got Brees Hall stealing touchdowns from Fields, Quentin Johnson stealing them from Hampton, and Michael Carter stealing them from Harrison. All the touchdowns are going to go my way. This one will be coming down to Sunday night. Oh, no. It will actually have to come down to Monday night because he has Cam Little. Cam Little is going to line up for a 47-yard field goal to give Max the win. He's going to choke, giving me infinite validation for my Cam Little sucks take. I win this one in a nail biter. It doinks off the right upright, and I win 142 to 139. All right. Our last Showtime matchup of the week presented by Canes. We've got the BOGO Caniacs versus Suck My Dicka. 3-1 versus 2-2. You'd love to have this one. Andrew's team is in rough shape. Let's get into it. Quarterbacks with Caleb on bye and Burrow in the toe baby factory. We've got Jared Goff in the lineup at Cincinnati. Doesn't really play well outdoors. Not really sure about that play. Guess you're just kind of hoping the Bengals suck and they can do whatever they want, like you said. And maybe he gets the touchdowns, and then you're pretty scared of Josh Allen, prime time at home, division opponent. He just kind of seems to tear the Patriots a new one every time. You could definitely see 4 touchdowns there for Josh Allen. Running back, this is where you pretty much maul Andrew. Jonathan Taylor home against the Raiders. You need a 20 burger from JT. Glaze of the week incoming. And then Scattaboo taking on the Saints. You just got to believe there's going to be some red zone and end zone opportunities for him. We'll see if he can actually convert this time. For Andrew, Pollard and Woody Marks, just 2 names that don't excite you. They're both on the road. They're both not in great situations. I think you blow him out at running back. At wide receiver, Jamar Chase. This is kind of a put up or shut up for Jamar. They're at home, good game script. There's been like video surfacing of him screaming at the coach. It can't get really any worse. He needs to show that he is still Jamar Chase this week. Lions are beat up in the secondary. And then, my app is messing up. It's saying there's like an M Washington in your lineup. I don't think there's a player with that name, so I'm gonna have to Google that one or maybe refresh and see who you're actually starting, because there's no way you're starting M Washington from Miami. And then for Andrew, he's got Jacoby Myers at the Colts and Jordan Addison in London, kind of just praying for another busted big play there. God, this is pretty gross all the way around at wide receiver. I think I'm going to give Jamar – I'm going to give Jamar kind of like one last chance here this week to put up a 20 burger and show that he doesn't need Joe Burrow to be good. Tight end, Fergie has been so good, so consistent the last 3 weeks. Juwan Johnson, not really sure why Andrew is actually holding on to Juwan. He's been kind of a bum last few weeks, 4.3 last week. He's dealing with some sort of nagging injury, and the Saints are just bad. So Fergie by a mile. Flexes, we've got Henderson and Devontae Smith versus Dobbins and Hunter. Dobbins is really the only one of these four that's been consistent in the early part of the season, coming off a 100-yard game. At Philly, you'd like to have a better matchup here, but you just got to rely on the consistency of the volume for Dobbins. And then you are hoping for the Travis Hunter breakout coming out party on Monday Night Football, home against the Chiefs. It'll be a big spot, prime time. Everyone will be watching. Could decide the fantasy matchup here. Also in prime time, Henderson at Buffalo, Devontae Smith home against Denver. You'd think A.J. Brown draws Surtain, so if they need to throw, maybe Devontae gets a big play, but he's just been so bad to start the year. Wide receiver 42 so far. Henderson just cannot seem to get on the field. Running back 35, they're not really showing any signs of that improving. Both y'all's teams really are in kind of rough shape right now. Andrew without Lamb, Andrew without Bucky, and without Kittle, and without Juwan Jennings. And then you're without Golden, Caleb, DJ Moore. Yeah, actually, those guys suck anyways. So, really, it's just, I don't know. You kind of need this one to just buy yourself another Mickey Mouse win as you try to squirm your way out of the Sacco playoffs with this roster. I really hope you decide to take M. Washington out of your lineup because that's just horrible. Overall, I do think you have the better stud potential here with JT, Jamar Chase, and Fergie. I think are kind of your three that you're going to lean on here, and then you need Goff to be within 10 of Josh Allen. You cannot lose quarterback 40-15. You're going to be dead in the water. So I like you here. I think JT goes bonkers against the Raiders. I think Jamar Chase has a Jamar Chase game and kind of saves you. Andrew's team's in rough shape. Your team gets the Mickey Mouse win, 104-90.
Yeah, I'm definitely sensing a Mickey Mouse potential here for either of us. We were talking about it earlier at Flag Football. So I'm going to take myself. I feel like my team is like half waiver wire. His entire team is waiver wire other than Josh Allen. And so as long as Josh Allen doesn't go for 50, I think I'm okay. So I'll take myself 110-101.
All right, that's been your Week 5 picks and preview here at the Showtime Fantasy Podcast. We're going to wrap up today's episode. Thank you guys all for listening. We'll be back at you next week with our Week 5 recap, Week 6 preview. Should be a fun week in the Blind Squirrels Fantasy League. Good luck to everyone. And will we see a Renaissance? Stay tuned to find out. Thank you very much.